Well, hello there. This is Trisha Goyer, and we're on Avid Readers of Christian Fiction. And I have Kristen Young here today, all the way from Australia. Like, how cool is this? So, she's coming from Sydney right now. So, Kristen, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
And I'm interviewing you because I was at Realm Makers and this summer, and your book, Apprentice, won the Book of the Year. So
I
they
know.
have different categories. They'll have like shorter stories and longer stories, and sci-fi and fantasy. And out of all those, this one, which was so exciting, and I'm on chapter 12 right now. I'm loving it so much. So first of all, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and start.
Thanks so
Yeah, and
much.
start.
Yeah, it's probably as an author, it's one of the best. Sorry, go.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's probably the highest praise an author can ever get is that somebody's reading it and enjoying it. So the award's an extra bonus,
Yeah. And
really.
it was nice because
Yeah.
they took all the award winners, and then they had three people outside of the regular circle of readers that were rated those and picked yours. So that was super exciting. So let's start by you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, my name's Kristen. I have grown up in Australia. I was actually born in Scotland, but spent a grand total of about 8 months there. So my memories of
Okay.
Scotland are fairly non-existent.
Yes.
So grown up in Australia, I've been in ministry for probably about 20 years. My husband is a youth pastor. And so he and I have kind of been working in churches with young people for a long time. And writing was something that I wanted to do when I was
Mm.
a kid. And I thought, oh, you'll never make a livelihood out of it. So you need to do something a bit more practical. So,
And
but
that's what all of us think too.
yeah,
But
but
I'm glad. I'm
yeah,
yeah.
the writing bug
Okay.
hits and you just can't, get rid of it. You've just got to, yeah,
So tell
keep
us
writing.
about Apprentice and how you got the idea for this.
Yeah, sure. Apprentice is a young adult dystopian science fiction. I've always loved books like that. When I was a teenager, I read Brave New World, which I wouldn't
Mm,
recommend
yeah.
as a for a teenager to read. I don't know why I got to read that then. Anyway, but I was fascinated by the dystopian kind of aspect of, what do people allow themselves to be kind of
Hmm.
enslaved by, in a sense. I
Yeah.
love the Hunger Games and Divergent and all of those kind of novels as well, and it fascinated me. And I loved the novels that were really technologically based. So stuff
Yes.
with virtual reality and the internet kind of, and that the cyberpunk kind of vibe as well when I was in my 20s. And I guess the idea for Apprentice came because I love exciting novels. I love novels that have action and suspense in them, and I wanted to try my hand at one that was quite suspenseful and
Hmm.
a bit of a thriller. But I was also really fascinated by language, and I did history when I was learning in high school, and I was fascinated by the way when you had a government that was like totalitarian,
Hmm.
they would often take language and twist it, So we are for the people and we are democratic and we're all about freedom. But the reality of what they did behind it was often very different to the language that they used. And so Apprentice started as a bit of an experiment. It was like, well, what if somebody took the word love and turned that into something with a bit of a sinister side to it? And that added to the suspense and the thriller. And I thought, well, this will be a fun world to spend a bit of time in.
Yeah, and it's
So
so neat. All the things that you're saying is I could totally like the Hunger Games. It has that element. Not that it's like you copied the Hunger Games at all, but you
Mm.
could tell it's the same type of element and kind of societies and systems. It reminded me very much of the Hunger Games, but also it made me think of I've written World War II novels and
Oh
Nazi
yes.
Germany. And so
Yeah.
some of the things that they would do and how they would just like you can't go against the group. You have
Mm.
to stay in line with everyone. You have to follow the orders exactly. And so much of it, I'm like, this is like Nazi Germany. But the interesting thing, difference between like the Hunger Games is in your book, she doesn't see everything. Like in the
Yeah.
Hunger Games, she was aware of the bad government. She was aware
Yeah.
and she had to fight. And in here, at least through chapter 12, where I'm at so far, she is just like going along like this is her dream. She is
Yeah.
achieving her dream, and I think then you the whole time it's like a unreliable narrator or a
Yeah.
innocent narrator. So all the whole time you're like, no, don't fall for it. Don't. This
Yeah.
is bad. But then you're also proud of her too. So it's this whole mix of emotions of you can see that she's getting deeper and deeper
Yep.
into it as she rises up the ranks, but you also are like, don't do it. But then you're also like, wow, yeah, you show them. So there's this whole mix of emotions. And I've been telling my husband because he loves this type of book. I'm like, you're gonna love this book. You're gonna love this book.
Oh,
And he's
good.
he's reading a different one right now. I'm like, just put that down and start reading this book with me. He's like, I'm almost done with the other one. I'm like, okay, but then you have to start that next. So I'm really loving it. Which before Realm Makers, I went with my son actually. I didn't read a lot of this. I read a lot of like historical fiction.
Yep.
But now I'm like totally like, okay, give me some more. So when did you start writing it? Is it like what book? Is it your first book? Is it your 20th book? Like explain all that
Yeah.
to our viewers.
Sure. Well, I didn't start with fiction. I actually started with non-fiction because I was working in youth ministry.
Mm-hmm.
The first books that I wrote were devotional books for teenagers,
Okay.
particularly teenagers in their senior years of high school. That's where I started, and
Yeah.
then I wrote another book that was published here in Australia. That was a book of apologetics and a book for
Mm,
teenagers dealing with doubt. And then that was back in 2015. And so after that, I had a bit of a gear change where I thought, you know what? A lot of people are getting swayed by the fiction that they read. The
mm-hmm.
stories are actually more powerful in some ways than the overt messages. I can teach people Jesus is the way, and I can talk to girls about, reading their Bibles and following Jesus. But in the real world, when they're surrounding themselves with these fictional stories,
Yeah.
they're actually absorbing a worldview while they're reading the stories. So I thought I'd try my hand at writing a fictional story, and that's kind of where I changed gears. And Apprentice was actually not meant to be book one.
Oh,
I actually wrote,
really?
yeah, I actually wrote book three first. And book three won an award for an unpublished manuscript. And the prize for that was a manuscript assessment by an editor. And she responded to it and said, "Hey, this is a really good book. It just needs like a little bit of backstory at the beginning of the book." And so that
Mm.
little bit of backstory turned into two separate books,
Oh,
which
that's
was
awesome. Just a
Apprentice
little bit.
and Elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So book one actually ended up being book three, and so Apprentice came out of that manuscript assessment, and it was fun because I got to do a lot more world building with that and
Hmm.
give her origin story, if you like, and go back to the beginning.
So I
Yeah.
love that. So okay, so Apprentice is out. Is
Yes.
book two out or is it coming out
Yeah.
or
Yeah. So Elite was released in September.
okay,
So
so I haven't
uh,
finished this one yet, so I haven't gotten to look yet. So I'm super excited that it's already out.
yes, you could go straight on to book two. It's
Yes.
it's all there for you. And book three is hopefully coming out early next year, so you won't have to wait too long for the end of the trilogy either. Yeah.
Oh, good. Awesome. So this is awesome that these are the very first books you wrote. So this is your first published novel,
Novel.
and it
Yeah,
then it won the book of the year. That doesn't
I know.
happen very often.
I was pretty shocked. Almost had a car accident, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
bit of a
yeah.
surprise.
To talk about that a little bit. She was not driving. Do not
No,
worry.
no,
Yeah.
I wasn't driving. Um, we were traveling between states here in Australia. It was the Realm Makers Conference was during our winter holidays, and we were
Hmm.
driving home, and the nighttime awards ceremony in the US was about 11 o'clock in the morning here in Australia. And so I thought, oh, well, I'm not doing anything else. We're just driving. I might as well tune in, and it would be great to see all those other people who are going to win the awards. Uh, Not me, because this is the first time and I won't get anything. And so the category award came up for science fiction, and I was just quietly watching it so that nobody else in the car could see it. And apparently, the gasp that you give of surprise when you win an award is about the same as if something's jumping in front of your car. And so they started reading out a passage from Apprentice, and I went, "Oh, I won!" And my husband went, "What?"
Yeah,
and sort
something's
of
gonna
swerved
run into
a little
us.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I tried very hard to be really quiet and controlled and everything, and I actually closed down the live stream at that stage because I thought, oh well, the category award is done. That's fantastic. How exciting. I
Mm.
better close this so I don't cause any other
Yeah.
accidents. And then
Accents.
somebody sent me a message on Instagram saying that the book of the year had come up, and I went, "What? I didn't even know it was there." So I went and watched back the live stream, and I nearly did exactly the same thing. Um, but I I
That
tried very
is
hard not to.
awesome.
Yeah, so it was
That
fun.
is
It was
awesome.
completely unexpected, and I was totally blown away by the response. Um, yeah, I was so grateful that
Yeah.
they thought it was worth reading. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was lovely, really lovely.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, I was there with when they were actually reading it aloud and doing all the announcements. And I also know Steve Lobby, who
Yes.
it was the owner. He's I think they're in the process of selling right now, but the owner
Mm.
of Enclave, and he was just so proud. Like he was like a proud papa walking around after that. So it was really neat to be there and to see
Yeah.
him and to see that I mean I just got so excited about sci-fi now that sci-fi and dystopian and all these things. I'm like, okay, I'm completely swept away by these genres that I never really read before. So that's really fun.
Wow. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm kind of jealous. One day I hope to be able to get to Realm Makers in person. So it was a privilege to be able to live stream it this
Yeah.
year.
That
Mm,
they it was really neat that they were able to do that because I know there's so many that weren't able to go, and so that's
yeah.
exciting.
It
Okay, so
it sounds
what are
like a
you
brilliant conference.
it is so
Yeah.
fun and everyone's so supportive of each other and the costumes were amazing. I did not
Oh,
dress up
yes.
and I'm sitting there like I think I'm the only one here that does not have a costume on. So I'm gonna have to figure out something for next year.
Yeah, yeah, something to plan, something spectacular for the Back to the Future. I mean, do you reckon they'll let
Absolutely.
you wear something retro? If you like historical things, do you reckon you
World
could?
War II steampunk something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally
lots
figure
of
it out.
possibilities.
Yeah. Okay, so book 3 is coming out soon. You
Yes.
said in the beginning of next year. Are you working on something now, or what? Is there another book or series in the works?
At the moment, I'm polishing book three. That's the
Okay.
main thing that I'm doing at the moment because I want to finish up the series well. I want to
Hmm.
finish it, yeah, in a way that readers feel that sense of
Mm.
completion in, yeah, that was a good story. That's what I'm working on at the moment. Um,
Well,
and the rest
hurry,
is
because
Christmas.
we're going to need to read it.
I'll try now.
Yes, yeah.
Straight.
We got to stop
Yeah.
talking. You need to go work. No.
Yes, I need to go and do all the editing and fix it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, that's us around here. We have grandkids here and we have kids here and we're decorating cookies and they want hot cocoa and all the things. Okay. So I have to ask because we just have to know this Christmas in the summertime. Like I can't
Yes.
imagine because we have well, I'm in Arkansas. We rarely get snow, but still it's nippy outside, especially in the mornings. And how is Christmas different in Australia?
Wow. In Australia, we live in a strange twilight zone because
Mm-hmm.
all of our movies and our songs come from the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah,
And so
White
we're
Christmas
singing.
and
That's playing in the shopping centres down here while we're walking around in our short sleeves and summer dresses, um, buying things for the barbecue out in the backyard
yeah.
for Christmas Day. But we're still dreaming of a white Christmas, even though we're a long way away from one. So yeah, I think in Australia we watch all of the Christmas movies, and I think that's it's one of the images that's fairly common to Christmas. All of the decorations around here are still very wintry, and Santa
Oh,
Claus is still wearing his winter outfit and all those sorts of things.
he's gonna get
Um,
really hot in the sun down there.
yeah, he does. Well, occasionally he turns up with board shorts on and a Hawaiian t-shirt,
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirt in the pool. But yeah, most of the time the imagery is very wintry. But on Christmas Day, my family, we go to church and then we go and have a family barbecue
Hmm.
outside. So we're all sitting around in the summer heat, eating our roast and um, our Christmas lunches.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, we lived in
Mm.
Montana, which was snow on Christmas. And so we're
Yeah.
used to all the snow and the snow falling. And I don't even know if we could get to church. Are the roads plowed? Because there's a lot of snow out there.
Yeah.
And then now
Wow.
Arkansas, sometimes kids are running around in shorts because it's 70 degrees and sometimes it's colder. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
mix. But yeah, it's great
Yeah.
that we could all kind of celebrate the same things no matter where we are. And speaking of that,
Yes.
this would make a great Christmas present. So if
Oh,
you have
yes.
a reader, especially
Absolutely.
a teen reader, and I know you wrote it for young adult, but like I'm completely enjoying it. But if you have a teen
Oh,
reader
great.
that's like, I don't know about those type of books, or they have ideas of what Christian fiction would be, here you go. This is right here. It's not, again, not prairie romance, not any of the things that they may expect. It's very well done, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm actually listening to the audiobook of it.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so I'm really
That
enjoying that.
that's good. That was such a trip for me hearing it being read by somebody else. I just never imagined that would happen. So it's been exciting
And
to
I think
hear
so.
that.
Maybe some of the voices make me think of the Hunger Games too, because they'll be like the Love Collective.
Oh,
Welcome to the whatever. Welcome to the da 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 da, or the rules of the Love Collective. It just sounds so much like that perfect robot-y, but not really
yes.
robot-y voice. And so the reader does an
Yeah,
excellent job.
she does that so well. I was totally creeped out by those announcements, and I thought, did I really write them that creep? Wow.
Yeah, you're like, ooh.
What brain came up with those words? Anyway, it was good.
Yeah. It
Good
is so
hearing.
fun to listen to the audiobook back. Like I just had one of my Christmas books released as an audiobook. And so I had to listen to it like maybe a month and a half ago. And I remember
Yeah.
crying and I remember laughing. I'm like, oh my goodness. It's just so different when someone's animating it. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It comes alive, doesn't it?
absolutely. So yeah. So if you love audiobooks, I also recommend this for an audiobook. Okay, so I have to know you work
Mm.
with youth, you're around youth all the time. Are they reading the book? Like what are their thoughts of the youth
Yeah.
in your life?
Well, there's kind of a range of responses. I think sometimes because the teenagers are a little bit worried about looking uncool, and so
Yeah.
they'll really carefully and quietly drop that they've actually read it, and others will kind of be occasionally they're really overt about it. You know, you'll get one or two will go, "Oh, I read your book." They get so excited about it,
Yeah.
and then others are kind of like, "Oh, yeah, I read it. It was good."
It's like the two extremes. Like so
Yeah,
much. You're gonna have the ones that every time they see you, they're gonna want to talk about it. They're gonna say how much they loved it, and the other ones are like, "Yeah, I read it. Yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you know, inside they're kind of going, "Yeah, it was great," but I'm not going to tell you that.
yeah."
It was all right.
Exactly. I will say, never have your child take one of your books to a gift exchange with teenagers, because that was
Oh,
the
really?
last thing anyone wanted was a book. You know, because there's candy and
Oh,
there's like
yes.
slime and like
Yeah.
balls, and then there's the book, and everyone's like, "Here, you take the book," and I'm like, "You guys are not helping my ego here.
Yeah.
If you keep passing off the book, I'm never doing that again."
Yeah.
So,
Working with teenagers is a great corrective to
oh
your
my
ego. I
goodness,
think, yeah.
yes. Well, I have 5 still in my house between the ages of 11 and 18. And yeah.
Wow.
So every day
That's a
I'm completely uncool in whatever I'm doing.
It's like, yeah, I have all these live streams with all of these thousands of people, but you know, at home, none of that.
Nope,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
even. It's like, Mom, I don't believe you just said that or
Oh,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah, it's all right. I guess because later on in life, they suddenly realize that you know more than they thought you did. You know, they
exactly.
come back to that. Yeah, Mum
I'm
must be
telling
all
you, once they
right.
get like 22, they're
Mm.
great.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Oh,
They like will call for advice.
Mum, you learned so much in the last 3 years. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So another thing I wanted to ask you. So, you are, have these books and you're thinking about writing them. And fiction, it seems like a different world than nonfiction, since nonfiction is more straightforward. So, what encouragement would you
Mm,
give to someone who is maybe considering writing, especially something like in this genre, either sci-fi or fantasy or
mm.
dystopian, where, I mean, it seems like it's easier to get a prairie romance, or whatever published. So, what encouragement would you give to someone that says, I would love to write, or I have this book idea that I've just had in my mind? What encouragement would you give?
I'd say write and keep
Mm,
writing and keep practicing and honing. Um, I wrote 3 practice novels
mm,
before the third, the one that won the manuscript award. I think it
mhm.
took me 3 novels to get my head into the zone of writing that long, because it's
Yeah.
easy to write a short story or a scene. You know, it's a whole different world
Yeah.
learning how to write a fictional narrative that goes for that many chapters and
Hmm.
holding all the different characters together, and having a plot that makes sense. And yeah, so I just say write, keep writing and keep practicing. If
Hmm.
your first novel doesn't get there, write another one and
Yeah.
keep working on it until it's kind of like any kind of form of art. You know, the concert pianists aren't sitting there playing the first piece that they ever learned. They've
Hmm.
spent years practicing and honing. It's a craft, and you're learning the craft. And your first novel may not get anywhere, but
Yeah.
your third or fourth, or even your first novel done for the fifth or sixth or seventh time,
Exactly.
you know. So
Rewritten.
yeah, just keep rewriting. And I think there are statistics and memes going around the internet talking about all of the famous authors who got rejected certain number of times
Oh,
before they were
Frank Peretti was
published.
at Railmakers, and he talked, it
Yeah,
was like 20 times or something like that. And he
yeah,
he worked in a ski factory painting skis, and would go
yep.
home and write on a typewriter on the back of used paper that he had saved.
Wow.
And it's like,
Yep.
okay. Okay.
It takes a long time,
It
yeah. And I
does.
think, yeah, and one of the things that I found with that was while I was being rejected, which I was at the beginning, while I was being rejected, the book that I had written that I was shopping around, I didn't just leave it there. I kept working on it and
Mm,
I I had to get rid of some ego, because there are people in your life who you'll show something to, like your mum, and they'll say, "That's lovely, darling. That's beautiful. What a love," and it's not. But because
It's
they're your
not.
mother,
Yeah.
they love everything you do. So I had to find some critique partners
Hmm.
who were able to tell me how terrible things were, and I had to learn how to be okay with them telling me that,
Yeah,
because at the end result was what we were after,
absolutely.
Um, so I had to separate the book from me. It wasn't about me. It was about craft and about becoming, aiming for the concert pianist kind of thing, or at least somebody who can play a piece of music, in the same way with writing, aiming for a book that's not necessarily Pulitzer material, but it's something that people will enjoy, and that
Yeah.
means practicing that craft and practicing the process of creating, um, until it's as polished as it can be.
Yes.
Sorry,
And
that
when
was
we
really long.
no, you're good. And I was thinking when we humble ourselves to listen, usually the
Mm-hmm.
things they tell us about the first 10 pages, we can apply to the next 150 pages because it's the same type
Yeah,
of
completely.
little things that we need to work on that really strengthen a
Yeah,
book. And yeah,
yeah,
so that's
yeah.
encouraging. All right, and
Oh,
so
no worries.
also they readers love to know what other readers are reading. So what are some books in the last couple of years that you've read and enjoyed in the Christian fiction genre?
Yeah. Well, I tend to be mostly, I enjoy speculative fiction.
Hmm.
So I've been really enjoying Secrets in the Mist by Morgan Bussey
I know
recently.
I enjoyed that one too. Waiting for book 2 to come out soon.
Yeah, yeah, looking for. I'm not usually good with that particular genre, so but it's actually been holding my attention and keeping me
My kids were
fascinated, which is really
laughing
good.
that I was reading a zombie book. I'm like,
Oh,
they're
really?
not zombies, they're the turned. They're like, Mom, you don't even like this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, this is super interesting.
Yeah, it's still worth reading. It's great.
Yeah.
Um, and the other one was Mortal Sight by Sandra Fernandez Rhodes. I think her, yeah, just the way she weaves in um, such beautiful imagery into what's often a very scary book is
Okay, I
it's
haven't read
really
that one yet.
keeps
So
really, yeah, it's great. It's worth reading that one as well. And my old favorite at the moment, well, it's not really old. It's only a couple of years old, but the Story Weaver trilogy,
oh yeah.
by Lindsay Franklin, is beautiful as well. So yeah, love all
Yes,
those ones. They're,
I've
yeah.
read the first two in that one. I have the third one. I haven't jumped in it yet because then I got into Apprentice. So I will go back to book 3 in that series. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
me. I'm like reading this and I'll read another one and then I'll listen to one
yeah,
and yeah. But that's the joy of
yeah.
it. Those of us who
It
love
is.
books.
Yeah,
Obviously
I've got,
from my room you can see how much I
yeah.
love books.
Yes, I'm at work at the moment. Otherwise, you'd see a similar kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
shelf of
Oh, I
things.
see you have the book 2 back there. The
Oh,
Elite.
yes.
Yes. So I'm
You
gonna
want to
go
have a
check
look
that
at it?
out. Yes, grab it.
Okay,
Grab it and
great.
show it because I don't have it. I will hold up. I will hold up the cover of this one, which is also a
All right,
beautiful cover, and it's hardback. Oh,
there you go.
awesome! Okay, look at this side
Look
by
at it.
side. These
Yeah.
look
Oops, I'll
good.
leave it that way. Everything's backwards. See.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, and so there's
Yeah.
a nice this award-winning seal right there. So maybe Elite will soon have one of these again.
I don't know. I'll have to make sure I'm not driving anywhere
Yeah, exactly.
for those, those awards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
Kristen, I have so enjoyed having you here, especially on the other side of the world. This is so fun that we could just like chat on two
I
complete
know.
opposite sides of the world. Where can people go to find out more information about you and your books?
Well, I have a website which is Chris Young Writes with a K. .com, and you can find the books on Amazon and christianbook.com, and yeah, Book Depository, wherever good books are sold
Yeah.
around the place, you can find them. Yeah, they look like that.
They look like that. And you will not be disappointed. Obviously, it won the book of the year. So,
well, yeah. I hope you find it enjoyable. I hope there's some teenagers out there who are enjoying it too.
yes. Well, I'm going to be passing on to mine, but I have to read it first, or I'll not get it back. So, well, thank you.
There's a couple of twists.
Yo, good. Ooh, okay. I'm in chapter 12. I know there's something going on with Cadence. Those words she's hearing. I don't know. Those dreams she's having. I'm gonna find out soon.
Yeah.
I think I guess kind of. I'm not gonna go into it, but
can't give any spoilers.